Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Initiative Order and our continuation of Symbaroum, the Throne of Thorns. I'm Nate. I'll be your host for this journey today, and I'm joined by my wonderful cast of players, minus one Nrobso. Unfortunately, Lee Royal is very busy out working his ass off, getting those gigs, and just killing life. So, Nrobso, we miss you. Can't wait till you're back, but hope you're doing well. You can find him at Royalty No Y on all the socials if you want to follow him. Super entertaining guy. Highly, highly recommend it. And in a moment, I'll have the rest of my cast introduce themselves. But first, some thank yous and shout outs here to our wonderful sponsors. Starting off with Session Zero Clothing. Session Zero creates some really cool TTRPG inspired streetwear. If you use code ORDER at checkout, you'll get 15% off your purchase through them. And of course, we have the wonderful Master Dice crafters themselves, Norse Foundry. So they create beautiful gemstone, metal, dice, various TTRPG accessories. If you use code TIO15 at checkout, you'll get 15% off your purchase through them. And of course, we have roaming player gear created by GotDM. He created this really cool Dice Vault Dice Tower combo system. If you use code Carnaby20, you can get 20% off that system there. It's super, super cool. Highly recommend checking it out. And I do want to say we do have a coffee or Ko-Fi, whatever the heck you say, set up for these wonderful, wonderful individuals. So there'll be a link down in the chat as well as on our information page. So if you feel like throwing a few bucks towards the cast to help support them and their pursuits, please do. All the money donated towards that goes directly to these guys here. I think that's about all I have for now. So let's go around the table. Let's start off with Keith today.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. My name is Keith. You can find me on IG at I am not Kevin Bacon. Twitter is all that D&D, and here as Alohoy808. I play Kovaan, the Green Weaver. I'm the protector of the trees and shrooms. Anyway, my big event coming up is December 10th on the Initiative Order. I'm in a one-shot for St. Jude's. It's an all-weekend thing as far as I know, right, Nate?
It is. Yep. We'll drop all the details at the end of the stream on what you can look forward to there. So lots of wonderful stuff planned, and as Keith said, it'll be in there. So check that out for sure.
Yeah, come by. If you can't come by for my session, drop by one of the other streams. Great cause.
All right. Thank you, sir. Let's move on to Christine, please.
Hey, everybody. I'm Christine. You can find me on Instagram and here at Slumberjane. And I will also be participating in the St. Jude's weekend. So you'll see me on the 11th playing Vasen. I don't know how to pronounce it yet.
Nobody does. It's a word.
But anyways, mostly find me on here. Thanks for tuning in today, guys.
All right, let's go over to Coral, please.
Hello, friends. My name is Coral Reefer. You can find me over on twitch.tv/queerventuretime and on the Twitters at QVenturetime because Queer Venture Time is what?
Not enough characters.
Too many characters.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. You're getting there. It'll be there next week. Right now what we're doing is we're hanging out for the holidays because especially as queer people, holidays can be rough. So if y'all need somewhere to like hang out while you're with the fam, escaping the fam, if you need talking points to bring back to your crappy uncle at the dinner table, if you don't got the fam around, you got us. So that's what we're focusing on at least till the damn new year.
Awesome. And of course, Kelsey, please.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm Tombs and Tomes on all social media, and here I play a witch named Kinlegelana.
Beautiful. All right. With that, I'm going to ask our wonderful tech guru to roll our beautiful intro, and we'll see you all back here in just a moment. All right, and welcome back. So, before we dive into the main story, I will do my usual. No, I'm not going to do the usual. I'm just going to throw it directly to our resident note taker, which words are hard, guys. Kelsey, why don't you go ahead and fill us in on what happened last time?
All right. So last time on Symbaroum, in which we didn't get into any trouble of any kind whatsoever, we actually got to go down into the giant sinkhole where the fern used to be, where all the abominations are, where nobody but us wants to go. Yeah, we went down there. We were able to go down and find some things. Nrobso found a giant copper sign, and for some reason, we took that with us. And we also found the body of the woman who originally met us in the fern and was going to give us a job as investigators. We learned that her name is Anadea. Anadia. I'm sorry, it's Anadia. And we saw that she had a locket, a medallion, and we saw the sinking sun of Prios on it, which is associated with the Black Cloaks. And that's when we learned her name was Anadia. We also found a pearl-sized ball, which was revealed to be a mind stone. And through a series of events, Aggie ended up actually using the Mind Stone to try and connect to whoever was on the other side, and it unleashed a lot of corruptive power, and she took 2 points of permanent corruption from that. Then we investigated some rooms. We were unsuccessful at really uncovering anything so far, but we did find a crack in a wall, and we know there is a chamber where a lot of the arcane magic is coming from. However, due to the corruptive magic flowing down here in the sinkhole, we knew that we couldn't really make more progress that day. So we decided to resurface. Aggie really wanted to take the body of Anadia up, so we took her up a certain piece, hid the body, made it up the rest of the way, and I had carved symbols into the walls below to show where we had gone and where we wanted to go. And we also saw a horrifying creature while we were down there who was some kind of cross between a human and a lizard. And then once we got back to the top, we talked to Captain Marvello. We gave what information we knew. We got some leads, so we know we want to eventually talk to the Ordo Magica about the magic item we found. And we also knew that we wanted to see the Templars at the Sun Temple. We did manage to go to the Sun Temple last time and talk to Father Alfeno, who showed us the way to the Templars we wanted to speak to. And we learned some things through them. We told them what happened, and Nrobso let slip everything about Anadia, and she was a confirmed member there. And Leohan, one of the Templars, seemed very shocked about that. And that's where we ended.
Excellent. All right, so where we are going to start off today's adventure is we're going to go back out of the Sun Temple for a moment, over towards the sinkhole where Laerke is currently hanging out with Captain Marvello. So the two of you kind of sitting around this tent. The rest of your party has departed to go speak to the Templars. He kind of stands up and just looks towards you, and I really do appreciate the work you're all putting in this town. It's difficult for outsiders, I know, but I hope you understand that we're not all like the extremists.
Sure, I understand. It's the timing of how everything has been coming about into town is certainly suspicious. I don't follow you for that at all, but you know, I'm not the one that you have to convince.
I mean, that's a very fair point. Anyway, he kind of gestures for you to begin leading the way towards the body of Anadia.
Are we going down into the pit? They left it somewhere down there, or did they bring it all the way up to the surface?
So essentially what you have is kind of like this giant twisted tree staircase that was grown out by Kovaan and Gadramon. And that goes probably about 60 feet down into the pit. And then from there, you've got the mechanism to lower yourself all the way down into the pit. So you're kind of just on the cliff side of this pit.
Okay, but the body is all the way down, or did they say they moved it somewhere?
The body's at the bottom of the staircase, not all the way down within the pit, just at the bottom of the stairs.
Okay, All right, then I'll lead him down and tell him, watch your step,
All right. So you begin leading him down the staircase, and immediately as you're walking down, you're beginning to feel that it's getting more cold than when you had first originally begun walking down the staircase. The stench of death and decay and flesh kind of begins to permeate the air just a bit more strongly than the last time you walked down here, which was honestly probably just about half hour, 45 minutes ago. And so in that time, it's just the air in this area has just gotten that much worse. You see him kind of just take up a scarf and just kind of hold it over his face. And was it this bad when you came down here?
I don't think so. So I will say again, watch your step. Can I take a look at the tree and make sure that the tree is not the source of this rotting smell?
Yeah, for sure. Give me a vigilance check if you would.
Ah, man, that's an 11 out of 10.
Okay. Looking at this tree, kind of examining the bark and the branches, none of them seem to be rotting away. It all looks pretty healthy. The tree itself doesn't seem to have been affected from what you can see.
Okay, then I'll keep walking him down, but being very careful about where I'm placing my feet.
For sure. So taking your time, making your way down the staircase, you do make it to the bottom platform. And easy enough, you know exactly where the body was hidden. As you go and begin to kind of uncover it, Marvello kind of helps you move some of the branches away. Looking at the body, her body hasn't changed, it doesn't seem. Still dead, but not like it. Her flesh is still intact. It's not like rotting, not like the beast that you saw down below. And you see Marvello, he just kind of stands, looks towards you and just says, I know you found a couple items on her. Do you mind if I just search her pockets as well? I just want to make sure we don't miss anything.
No, not at all. If I'm sure that Aggie took what she thought was important, so please be my guest, and
Okay.
I can help you bring her back up to the surface if you would like as well.
Actually, that might be easier if you don't
Okay.
mind. All right. So he kind of grabs the front of her if you grab her legs, and the two of you begin making your way back up towards the tent. So yeah, Marvello guides you up into the tent, and kind of guides you over to this large table where you're able to lay her out. And you see him kind of pull a couple curtain walls within this tent so it's kind of closed off so nobody else walking by can see. And he begins just kind of carefully, meticulously searching, running his fingers along like the seams of her robes, digging into her pockets, looking for anything at all. And as he's kind of running his hand along her belt, you see him stop for a moment, and he kind of folds this belt down, and he pulls out a slip of paper. Oh, would seem your companions didn't find everything.
We all make mistakes. We're only human.
Fair point. Well, shall we see what it says?
Please.
He unfolds the paper, and as the two of you begin reading it, it reads, "Friend in strife and sorrow, this offer is the only one you will receive. Decline and mourn alone. Accept and follow my confidant. We will meet where no tear falls in vain. I am waiting. You are needed." And it's signed Tiara Teana.
Is this name familiar to you, Marvello?
Can't say that it is.
Do you have any ideas on where this places they're describing no tear falls in vain? You know this area better than I do.
I mean, it could be referring to a nearby waterfall. It could have been referring to the well itself that once stood here. I can't be certain. perhaps the wizards at the academy might know more. Perhaps Night Pitch might know more. Maybe even the Templars. I can't say for certain.
Well, let's hope that the Templars know more. They're a little bit more friendly, let's call it.
I guess it depends on who you talk to.
Actually, I didn't get to see the well that was here before it was destroyed. Do you remember anything about the well that might have been, I don't know the word, special, different, unique?
Give me a persuasion roll if you would.
Oh, a 6 out of 9.
A 6 out of 9. Okay. He looks towards you. I mean, the well itself, it was just a well, but I do believe that Night Pitch was aware of the tunnels down below. And he might know what specifically is down there. But I myself, unfortunately, I can't give you any more information I don't know.
Okay. Well, do you need any more help with the body? If not, I'll go join my friends.
No, we'll wrap her up respectfully and keep her here.
May I take the note? I can guarantee you I will not remember what's written on it.
Oh, of course. And he passes it over to you.
Okay. Well, if you need anything else, I'll be at the Sun Temple, but I'm sure we'll be returning back to the camp very soon to visit the caravan, so you know where to find me.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate your help, Laerke.
I'll offer him a handshake.
He'll accept. All right, so Laerke, you begin to make your way over towards the Sun Temple, which is where we will join the rest of our party at this time. The three of you in the room with the three brothers. Aggie, I believe you had held out the medallion for them all to examine when Nrobso shouted out the name Anadia, and one of the brothers had revealed that Anadia had been a part of the temple in the past.
That's where Nrobso sneaks out. It's like, oh, sorry, and then just sneaks out for a month. Yeah, Aggie's just gonna be holding out the medallion and being like, sorry, real quick. What did have they said anything yet, or have they just like reacted and been like, oh yeah, she was part of the temple?
That's about it so far. So they're just like, okay.
All right, I want to try and read their faces. I want to see if they're pissed off at me for omitting this information.
Okay, give me a cunning check if you would.
That is a 14 out of 15.
Oh, just barely. So, the two younger brothers, you don't see much of an expression. The oldest, who's been kind of a dick this entire time, you kind of see him just kind of glare his eyes ever so slightly and
okay, well, that's part of it, of course. All right. Okay. Yeah, then Aggie's just gonna be like, I do apologize for withholding some of this information, but you see, we've yet to know who exactly we can trust. But I do believe that Nrobso is correct in trusting you.
Nrobso just gets this giant shit-eating grin on his face.
The three of you have seemed to be most... Oh God, how do I shade this dude while I'm still waking up? The three of you, that's as deep as the shade's gonna go, have been most most accommodating, and it has been my pleasure to assist you and care for your wounds. So, yes. Hopefully you can help us with this.
Well, the younger one kind of speaks up at this point. I don't think any of us ever worked directly with Anadia. I think she was more so studying under the priests of the temple, whereas we're more so focused on the combat and protection side. But if you ask around, I'm sure that there might be somebody who can shed more light on her name.
Understood. And is there anybody here that you do not trust?
Give me a persuasion roll if you would.
That's a big pile of nope.
He kind of just looks towards you. We're all here to serve the Lord Prius. Every one of us. We may go about it differently, but our goals all remain the same. We find ways to work together.
That sounds like a... Yes, there's a few people that I have my eye on. But, you know, I give them the benefit of the doubt.
And if I may be so bold as to contribute to this conversation, I believe that the only fear my friend Aggie has is, as you are aware, there's a lot of very, very strange goings-on happening in the city, and the sinkhole itself is quite a situation, and if we had known anything about why we found the body there, it would have been so helpful. And there might be people here who would intend to, shall we say, stop us from helping the greater good to somehow continue to shield their own evangelical interests. Because everyone, of course, here is here for a very just reason. It's just that sometimes people can go too far and people die.
Aggie's just nodding vigorously.
Keen, you may also give me a persuasion roll if you'd like.
All right, that is an 8 out of 11.
8 out of 11, okay. All right. Well, within this temple itself, I can honestly say I trust everyone. However, I'm sure you've run into our counterparts, the Twilight Friars. You might know them as the Black Cloaks. They can be a bit more extreme with their with how they handle situations. And I do believe that they do serve the Lord Prios, but I also believe that they may go a bit too far with how they handle those they see as the enemies of the Lord. Just be careful around them.
That's Balmello's group, right?
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Then Aggie's just gonna put her hands on her hips, and she's just gonna be like, oh, well, yeah, we had already pinned that one.
That's not to say that all the Twilight Friars are as extreme. There are good ones. If you were to travel to the capital of Indaros, you would find many more who operate quite differently.
May I ask a question that I've been curious about? So I've had the distinct privilege of meeting Sir Balmello, and he had a boy on a rope that was gagged, and he was using the boy for witch sight. Do you know anything about that?
Balmello, again, is one of the more extreme friars. That's not a normal practice of ours. But I know that he specifically sees his purpose as destroying witches, as he sees them as one of the highest heretics in these lands. I've heard stories that he's burned down entire villages hunting witches.
Wouldn't the boy be a witch?
It is possible. He also
And no one knows anything about this boy. No one's seen an imprisoned boy.
to my knowledge, no. Balmello could have picked him up out of one of the villages for all I know.
Interesting. Thank you for the information, troubling though it is.
Of course. Kovaan, anything from you at this time as you're in this room, hearing these conversations?
So after Keen finishes her last sentence, I lean over. That one has an eye for you. I don't like his presence where we are. But you already knew that. He used a boy to sniff you out. So he has something planned for you. And I am not a fan. And I look at Leohan when I finish that sentence. Just to reiterate that, yes.
All right. And at this time, Laerke will say you've made your way over towards the temple itself. You approach seeing that same beautiful, pristine, white building, made up of a couple kind of circular buildings, one in the front, one towards the back. The one in the back you notice has this beautiful copper dome across the top of its tower. As you approach, a priest comes up to you, kind of bows his head. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here looking for a group, and I'll describe my friends. I believe they were here in search of some Templars.
Oh, yes, I do believe they're still here. Follow me. And he begins leading you. And as you kind of enter into the first building, you see another individual. You notice he's got kind of a rather grumpy demeanor, kind of this frown upon his face, and you see him kind of very quickly walking down the hallway. And the priest leading you says, "Oh, Father, one moment. We have one more from the group from before." And the individual stops and looks towards you. You're with the others? Very well. I'm heading there now. I've got a message for them. Just follow me.
Thank you.
And he leads you down one of the circular hallways up to a door. And the rest of you in this room all hear a knock at the door. And one of the brothers gets up and opens it. And you see standing in the doorway Laerke, as well as Father Afana.
Well, hello.
Laerke, it's so lovely to see you.
Laerke will immediately go over to Aggie and begin to just kind of like, everything good? Still in one piece?
Oh, yes, you don't need to worry about me. We're fine. Everything's fine. We've been having a lovely conversation with the brothers. And I'm just going to gesture between the two of them and be like, do you all remember Laerke, correct? Laerke is one of my is my I hesitate to say bodyguard, protection, traveling companion. That's where we're at now, right?
I'd say so.
Yes, my traveling companion.
Of course, we remember. It's good to see you're well, Laerke.
Thank you. Before anybody else says anything, she's just gonna hold the paper up, and she's actually gonna. Which of the brothers has been talking to Aggie?
The youngest has been.
Okay, I'll hand it to Aggie and say, Marvello found this on the body. Think you guys might have missed it your first pass through. I don't know. I can't make any heads or tails out of it. If you'd like to take a look.
Aggie's gonna take it and just be like, "Oh, wow, my eyes must be failing me more than I think." And yeah, she'll go ahead and read it. And I mean, as to not be rude, she'll like offer it to, she'll offer to like stand so we can both read it together. And yeah, she'll go ahead and read it as well.
Okay. Are you reading this out loud for the rest of the group to hear?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. So it's not rude to my companions too.
No worries. Okay.
Yeah, friend in strife and sorrow. This offer is the only one you will receive. Decline and mourn alone. Accept and follow my confidant. We will meet where no tear falls in vain. I am waiting. You are needed. Terratina. Does that mean anything to anybody here?
Keen, I would like you to make me a cunning check, if you would.
Okay.
And I'll give you a +2 to this roll.
Did that mean +2 to my it's a harder roll, right?
No, so +2 is good. So whatever your ability base is, add 2 to that.
Okay, excellent. And you said it was cunning?
Correct.
9 out of 12.
9 out of 12, perfect. So upon hearing the name Tiara, you recognize it as an Elvish name.
Well, that's an Elvish name.
Oh, is it now?
It is indeed, which is interesting.
I'm gonna look at the brothers and be like, does any of this mean anything to
all we know of the elves are, just the brief history of the Iron Pact made. Aside from that, we don't generally see elves walking through here. They tend to stick to Davokar.
Understandable. Do you have any ideas as to what this note might mean? We will meet where no tear falls in vain. My initial instinct for this is somewhere it is acceptable to cry. So would this temple, a graveyard?
There's a graveyard nearby with a mausoleum. It's perhaps could have something to do with that, but I can't say that I know. I've never been one for riddles. I'm more of just a straightforward speaker and thinker.
Yes, usually the riddles that I am working with tend to have plant matter, and then they end up in a liquid form and you drink them. Not
And
good with word riddles.
as you're all kind of standing here, you hear Father Alfano very audibly like,
Oh, you're still here. Oh,
yes, as I
did
told
not
your
realize
companion,
that.
there's somebody here who would like to speak to you all.
Hmm.
Please follow me.
Aggie's
Very
just
well.
gonna. Yeah.
You can
How-
catch up with the brothers later if you wish.
Aggie will bow her head because we're friends now. So she is gonna say bye. And then on the way out, she's gonna mutter under her breath about like, oh shit, I don't really know this dude. Is it okay that he just heard half of this conversation? Whoops.
Oopsie doodles.
Hey Nate, real quick, where's Gadramon?
Gadramon had left to head back towards the edge of Davokar to try to make contact with his companion.
Okay.
Great.
You did know that Marvelo did send a couple guard with Gadramon. He's smart enough to not let Gadramon wander through the hold on his own. So
Makes sense.
So, do you follow Father Alfano? Okay. He leads you kind of out into the main chambers, heading back towards this very large open archway towards the second building. Walking through, he begins taking you up a spiraling staircase on the left-hand side up into this tower. You walk up a couple flights of stairs before coming to another doorway. And he just stands there, knocks on it, and the door opens up. And inside you see this large chamber, fairly nicely furnished, large wooden desk in the back, a couple of nice upholstered couches and chairs, kind of like a coffee table in the middle, with some hot tea brewing there and ready to go. And sitting at the desk, you see an older woman, Ambrian, short gray hair, pale skin, kind of dressed in this beautiful, like bright yellow and white robe. The yellow almost looking like the color of the sun itself. And she's just kind of sitting there. Behind her desk, you see her just kind of massaging her fingers. Thank you, Father. Please. She kind of gestures for the group to enter in.
Laerke will be the last one, and she's gonna stick to the door area. She's not gonna
Okay.
approach the desk or anything.
For sure. The rest of you enter in. Okay. Entering in, and you see Father Elfano begin to step into the room, and she kind of holds her hand up. Oh, that's all right. Just the group, thank you. And Laerke, you hear Elfano definitely like grumble something under his breath as he turns and shuts the door behind him after exiting the room. So as it stands, it is currently the five of you and this old woman in this room. I apologize for the sudden meeting, but I heard you were the individuals investigating the sinkhole, yes?
We were. And I'm so sorry. What is your name?
Oh, I apologize, dear. And she kind of begins to stand up. My name is Deseba. Deseba. I've been with this temple for longer than most of these priests have been alive.
Aggie's gonna go ahead, and I assume there's like chairs in front of the desk.
Oh yeah. She's kind of sitting at this head desk, and there's almost like a little seating area right in front of it, with a couple couches on either side of like this coffee table.
Great. Yeah, Aggie's 100% going to take a seat facing her. And yeah, just say, well, it is lovely to meet you. I hope you don't mind, as I'm sure you know, tired legs.
I'm too familiar.
Of course.
I hope Father Elfino hasn't given you too much trouble.
Trouble? No. A little bit of skepticism, quite healthy. It is okay. I believe all of us are on our toes right now. A lot has been going on in a very short amount of time, and it makes sense to remain cautious, so I hold no grudge.
Well, I've asked you here. As I said, you've been the ones investigating, from my understanding.
Indeed.
I simply wish to know what you have found, and perhaps I can shed some light. Perhaps we can help each other understand everything going on.
Can I tell by the room whether or not this person is of high standing within the temple?
Yeah, give me a cunning check if you would.
And while that's happening, is there any way that I can check to see if I trust this person?
Yeah,
Same.
Yep. If you all want to kind of watch her expressions and everything, go ahead and give me cunning checks as well.
I got a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
10 out of 15.
Okay.
I got a 15 out of 5.
15 out of 5. Ooh. And Kovaan, what'd you get?
Fail.
Okay. So Laerke, looking at this individual, looking at her robes, to you they look to be the same as everybody else's. You're not used to this type of environment, obviously, being where you're from, so it's a nice room.
Yeah, that tracks.
You don't know if it's hers exclusively or if it's like, hey, she's signed the timesheet for it. Aggie and Keen looking at this individual, watching her expressions and her demeanor and how she speaks. You can tell she's being very straightforward. Her demeanor and her manners are almost complete opposite of Alfano's. You definitely feel a bit more at ease with her. You can tell she's a bit more laid back compared to him. So take that what you will.
Perhaps we can start here. It would really help us frame what we found down below. There was a woman named Nadia who worked for the church. What exactly was she doing for the church, and what might she have been doing involved with the sinkhole?
Nadia. Yes, she was a young woman studying to be one of the priests here within the temple. As a matter of fact, she lived here in the annex. And it's my understanding that she left a few things behind within her chambers. As far as her involvement directly with the sinkhole, I don't know. What else is there more that you found?
Well, also, no, funnily enough, this was not the first time we had met Nadia. For we had met her earlier at the inn she worked at, and or at the inn she was at, and that time she refused to give us her name. We only found out through a piece of her jewelry, which I will take out. And that seems to have been given to her by a member of the church. Or at least somebody who recognized the connection that she had to the church.
See. I know, Father Alphino believed that she had lost her way with Lord Prios. I think that perhaps he believed her to be a bit of a heretic, which explains his more grumpy behavior since all of you arrived. But I can't be certain. I'm not entirely certain what she did during her time away from the temple, but she was always a sweet girl, never spreading messages of hate or anything to my knowledge. Is there anything else of note that you all found down there?
Well, sorry, go for it.
I'm going to just give Aggie a quick look to see if Aggie wants to share the note.
Yeah.
That's a big if. I am not saying do it. Like, I'm giving you a look like...
Yes. Now, yeah, I'm gonna give a nice little nod to Keen, and just be like, and now, I did not discover it. However, my companion, Laerke, when she returned to us after going down with Sir Marvello, she returned with this note, and I'm going to read it aloud. I'm not going to read it out loud for a third time.
Fair enough.
And I'm just going to be like, now our companion Keen has already identified that this name is distinctly elvish, and I've an idea or two as to where their meeting place could be referencing, but beyond that, we have no leads.
I'm afraid I've never heard this name before, but perhaps you may be able to find more links among the belongings she left here in her room.
Of course.
But before I grant you access to that, there's something a bit pressing that I could use some help with.
Very well.
More pressing than a sinkhole with aberrations crawling out?
Well, what I have may have something to do with the sinkhole, or it may not. I'm not entirely certain myself. But there's a man here within the city. A man named Sarvola. And many of the church label this man as a heretic. I personally don't see it that way. There are those within these walls who believe that the sinkhole and these abominations are Prios's way of punishing us for harboring such a heretic. Now, this man He simply wishes to see the church change for the better, and I don't entirely disagree with him. He came into quite a bit of wealth a couple decades back, and he's taken his money to travel the lands, spreading a message of compassion and love and understanding. He's called the church's practices extreme, judgmental, unfair. And I can certainly see why. It is his goal, from my understanding, to have the church work for the people rather than the people work for the church. And he is here within the city. And Elfino would have him outcast, but I put a stop to that rather quickly. Because I believe outcasting this man will solve nothing. If anything, it will cause more problems. Now I know Lord Prios, his judgments, his decisions are final and just. But I believe that we can make amends with the Lord and with the people. I believe we can find that balance. And if you all help me with putting an end to this threat, with finding the peace between the people in Sarvala, trying to find a peace between the church and Sarvala, perhaps we can also begin healing the connection between us and the Lord Prios and bringing an end to these punishments, as some might call them.
And how exactly do you propose we do that? You must know something else about us if you think we are quite that good at mediating.
Yeah, Aggie's gonna put her hands on her hips and just chuckle and say, like, yes, I really don't know if you want me to do this. I mean, there is a reason I am self-employed. I will most likely take
Well,
power structures and I don't get along. So if this is the suggestion, I
understand your concerns. I understand.
Aggie just whispers under her breath, dictatorship of the proletariat.
I understand, though, that you are all also quite capable. I know you are the ones who brought an end to the flare. You were the ones brave enough to first go into the sinkhole. And if I'm going to be completely honest, if any of the individuals in the Sun Temple were seen helping Sarvala, it would just cause more problems. Therefore, a few outsiders such as yourself, who show no allegiance to anybody, a neutral party, if you will help avoid all conflict.
While that may be the case, and while you will have this be a covert operation, which you are merely an invisible part of, what protections may we be granted from your station in case perhaps something like the Black Cloaks decide that we are a threat?
Yeah, Aggie's gonna cross her arms and be like, and also, the way to remain a neutral party is not by getting caught up in the political whims of those who are asking us. If we, I understand it'll be covert, but in my experience, that's a risk.
And while I do understand and agree with Aggie, unfortunately the Black Cloaks have created a sort of a political situation for me and my one companion. We did not have a choice.
This is true. This is true. The Black Cloaks are the one.
Well, it's my understanding that you've made alliances with the three brothers, at least. I can have them keep an eye on the priests and the Templars for you. Make sure there's no interference from any of them. As far as the Black Cloaks, well, I'm sure I can convince Marvello to keep them quite busy with other tasks. Keeping them out of the way.
That would be helpful. And may I ask another question related to the Black Cloaks, since no one else seems to be able to answer it? There's a boy that Balmello takes out on, tied up with a gag on his mouth, who is gifted with the sight. No one seems to know who this boy is. People seem to claim they haven't seen this boy. That's very troubling. You can imagine.
I'm sorry, dear. You must be mistaken. You said Balmello.
Yes.
Balmello passed many years ago. Surely you've just misheard the name.
But
Interesting. What cause of death? Cause of death, I'm sorry. You're of course right. Obviously misheard the name, but what was the cause of death of Balmello?
Oh, he fell. I believe he was on an expedition to Davokar and unfortunately never made it back, from my understanding. I believe his remains were recovered.
I want to look at her and... Have you ventured out much lately?
I've been quite busy here, keeping the temple running, keeping everything in check. These old bones aren't much for walking through the towns anymore.
I feel the same. And I grab my back. So I kind of look at Keen and I kind of give her acknowledgement that she hasn't seen the person we've seen type of look. Meaning Balmello.
But the Balmello you remember is the same one who was said to burn down cities in search of witches?
I believe so. He was one of the more devoted Black Cloaks. A bit extreme at times, but burning bridges, burning villages. That doesn't sound like the Balmello that I've heard of.
What if they're... I'm sorry, Aggie?
Can I just make a quick cunning check to see if she's gaslighting the hell out of us?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's an 8 out of 15. I'm pretty sure she's genuine, but I just want to make sure.
She's completely genuine, straightforward.
Nate, what are you doing to us right now?
She genuinely believes every word she is saying. You can tell by her demeanor, her tone. Every bit of information she's said to you has been spoken in the same way.
All right, Aggie successfully hides her complete and utter confusion. Like on the inside, she is that meme with all of the equations going past. Like that is her internally, but on the outside, she's just following Kin's lead.
So, say that there's a Black Cloak, in fact, a leader of the Twilight Friars, who calls themselves Balmello. What then?
I mean, it's possible. I've heard, I've even encountered some in my youth of individuals who could change their entire appearance through mystical means. I believe there's creatures like that that come from within the Davokar itself as well. Shapeshifters, if you will.
A changeling.
Changelings.
Interesting. Well, that's interesting. If we ever wanted to reach you, would there be a safe and discreet way to do so?
You can always just come here. These walls are very quiet. Nobody is allowed within these chambers without my permission.
With all due respect, though, aren't you trying to make it seem like you have no ties to whatever is happening when we begin to mediate the situation between Servala and the church?
I do business with many individuals of this hold. Many people come and go. Nobody will even blink. I assure you, we'll be safe meeting here.
Very well.
Now, she kind of looks out the window, and as she's looking down, you can all kind of see she's looking down towards a sundial out in the yard, watching the shadow. Oh, that time already. She stands up. I do believe there may be somebody else that may be of interest to all of you. Somebody who I've got a meeting with right now, if you would like to join me.
May we know the name?
An individual called Ori.
Ori.
Someone who has experienced this darkness head on. Just be warned, what you'll see may be a bit difficult. As we'll be heading to an area where there's quite a few individuals being held who have unfortunately begun to succumb to corruption. This energy has begun manifesting itself on their bodies in various ways, from wounds, scars, losing their minds. Just be warned that it could get difficult down there.
Well, as I'm sure you're well aware, when casting light or casting truth, you always create darkness, shadows. I suppose we're prepared, Kovaan?
I follow your lead.
Nay, I shall follow yours.
If any of you wish to stay here in my chambers, so you don't have to see the darkness below, I assure you you'll be safe here. Nobody will disturb you.
May I ask one more question before you lead us on?
Of course.
So you would agree that it's of the utmost importance that the church be reunited in a healthy way with Carvala, yes?
Of course.
So, say a changeling did exist who could be rallied to the cause. What sort of face should the changeling take to gain the best results?
Asking for a friend.
It's a difficult question.
Or a list of.
As you'll soon see if you go to see Sarvala, he's quite a busy man. Constantly, he'll have lines of many different types of individuals heading towards the mission house where he operates from.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest if you were to, well, if somebody were to try to disguise themselves, I would suggest a poverty-stricken Ambrian of some sort. Nobody would even think twice of an individual like that looking to both Sarvala and the church for help.
Delightful. Thank you for your insights.
Of course. She begins to stand up from her chair, and she goes over to a corner, grabbing this just large, simple wooden walking stick. And she begins heading towards the double door that all of you had entered in from. She opens it up. Well, shall we?
Laerke is going to, as we're following her out the door, Laerke's gonna grab Keen and pull her back for a second and ask and say, can you inquire as to whether there are those down where we're going that have suffered from dark blood?
I can indeed.
And then she'll back up and take up the rear of the group.
I'm so sorry. May I ask a question?
Of course.
Just to be fully prepared for the scope of the darkness below, are there any stricken with dark blood down there?
I believe that there is one who we took a sample from.
Can we be pointed in the direction of this person at some point?
Of course.
Thank you for your kindness.
She begins leading you back down the spiral staircase, down into a large open chamber. And towards the end of the chamber, you see probably about a 6-foot wide stone staircase heading down below the temple itself. As you all begin making your way that direction, we're going to go ahead and jump to a quick break. So thank you all so much for sticking with us this far, and we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes or so. So hydrate, bio break, whatever you need to do. We'll see you back here in a minute. And welcome back, everybody. So, after meeting with Decibel up in her office, our group has now begun making their way down below the temple, making your way down this about 6-foot wide stone staircase, heading deep underground. You all immediately notice the temperature change. And down here, there's just sconces with a couple torches spread a couple feet apart, just going down deeper and deeper. You estimate you probably go a good 30 feet below the ground before it kind of the staircase ends at this large hallway. And down this hallway, you just see iron bars going down either side of this thing, just various cages on both sides. As you begin walking through this area, you hear people kind of grumbling, muttering under their breath, some of them yelling out in pain, some of them kind of slamming themselves up against these bars as you're walking through. If you were to look into any of these cages, you can just see various Ambrians. Some of them have that same black twisted flesh beginning to overtake some of their bodies. Others just have these large open wounds that are just kind of leaking out everywhere, seeping through bandages. People just kind of holding their heads, yelling, screaming. Any actions from all of you as you're walking through this area?
Mike's just trying to stay as far away from the center as she can be down the hall.
For sure.
Same.
Okay. Decibel, she's kind of walking. We treat them as best as we can here. We hold them here and before they're taken to the monastery up in the Titans. They're farther away from cities this way, and we've got better healers out there. We do what we can for those we can, and for those we can't, we do what we can to end their misery quickly.
I'm gonna look over at Decibel.
Mhm.
The ones with corruption, have you ever heard of anyone recovering in all your time?
To my knowledge, no. I mean, I suppose it depends on how far the corruption has gotten. I've heard that there are those who can survive with a little bit of corruption within them. But unfortunately, with what these individuals went through, the corruption was just too much for anybody to endure.
And these people, they were part of the Ordo doing magic?
No. These individuals, well, I'll have Orai do his best to explain. And she leads you down towards the end of the hallway to the last cage on the right-hand side. And looking in, you see a young Ambrian man wearing just simple pants and a shirt. You can see his shirt has just blood stains and various yellow stains from whatever is just oozing out from underneath it. You see him, he's kind of down on all fours, kind of hunched over, scratching at the floor. And he kind of snaps his head towards all of you. And Decibel just approaches and, all right. We've got some individuals here that would like to talk to you. And you see him just kind of snarl underneath his breath and just kind of look over towards all of you once again. All right. I need you to tell them what you saw. And he kind of on all fours walks over towards the cage and is just staring at all of you. Actions from any of you?
Yeah, I'm gonna focus on him and listen intently on what he has to say.
Yeah. Aggie is going to So she's kind of had her head down the whole way through, but this dude's like kind of wary of us, right?
Little bit, yeah.
Cool. Then Aggie's actually gonna get not close up, but closer. And like crouch down to his level and just look and try and, I don't know, almost like you would introduce yourself to a dog, right? And you don't want to be threatening.
Sure. Give me a persuasion roll if you would.
Cool.
I'll give you a +1 to this too, since you're kind of making an effort to go down to his level. And
that's still a 17 out of 11.
Okay. So you kind of crouch down near him, and he just kind of snarls in your face, spittle kind of flying out of his mouth, hitting you in the face a little bit, and he begins to kind of retreat back just a touch.
If I may, I watched this happen, and I'm farther back than Aggie, but I kind of sit down, cross my legs, and I start very softly humming like a nursery tune.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a persuasion roll as well, please. I'll give you a +1 as well.
Okay. That is an 11 out of 12.
Okay. So you see he kind of begins to slow his breathing and calm down a little bit. He crawls back over towards the bars, and he's just staring at you, Keen. And
I'll continue to just softly sing until he says something.
Okay. Decibel kind of looks towards him and just says, "It's okay. They're here to help." And Rai, once again just staring towards Keen, begins to speak. Arrived in Thistlehold. Escaped bloodthirst. Some time ago. Could have been day. 10 days full moon. Hired. For sword skits. Went deep into Davokar. Led by a woman. No, change name. Butcher. Butcher with axe. Big group. 10, no, 7, no, hundreds. 20. 10, no, 15 of us. Lots. Magic users, barbarians, beasts, drummers, musicians, 4 girls without faces. Found God. Old spirit. Gold hooves. Diamond antlers. One goal. Dead. 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 Kill. We attack. God does nothing to defend. Just takes every stab, every cut, every slice. Took head off with large axe. It cried in pain. Its cries broke my soul. Never heard anything like it. Sword through the back. deal was supposed to be payment. Never received money. Others cut off antlers, cut off hooves. Followed Whispering Skull. Radha Valala. To the heart of Davokar. Symbaroum will awaken. And you see his eyes just kind of go wide and begin to kind of roll back into his head as he begins to slowly back into his cage, turning to the corners, begins scratching at the wall.
Is there any lore from my people about anything that would resemble what he was describing, or no?
Give me a cunning check if you would.
Okay. Yeah, no. 18 out of 13.
Okay, no worries.
Is there any way I could try since I lived with elves from Davokar?
For sure.
Okay. Ow, I got a 19. There's no way.
Okay, no worries. The both of you, you would know that Symbaroum was an ancient civilization within Davokar, a civilization that fell years ago. As far as the spirit itself, you've heard of various large forest creatures, spirits that can be worshipped as gods. This may be one of them, or it could be something that this individual's just seen. You're not certain.
Would I recognize that? Because I believe that my people worship a giant moose, but it almost sounded like he was talking more like a deer.
Give me a cunning check as well.
Oh, I'm not good at that, so oh, 14 out of.
Okay. So yeah, like you said, you don't believe it's a moose. It definitely sounds more like a stag. But hearing it, you more so believe that this creature probably does exist.
As just really trying to cheese it and get all the rolls here. As Laerke's traveling companion, would I know that? Would we have had that conversation about, oh, do your people worship a moose god? Would I be able to make that cunning check?
I mean,
Look,
yeah, I'll let you have it.
Stunning. God damn, that's a nat 20.
Oh, fucking!
I know. All right, the one game you don't want to get a nat 20 in.
You've heard of the big moose?
It's a big moose. The moose is big.
It's a big old moose.
Well,
I want to move closer to the front of the cell and kneel down. And what of the woman? The changeling? Did she survive?
Give me a persuasion roll if you would.
Can I look over at Keen?
I'll give you a +2 to this since Keen is still humming her calming tune.
12 out of 9.
12 out of 9. He is
Persuasion is not something
he's kind of just
bet on.
grumbling and scratching at the back corner of his cell at this point.
How did you know she was a changeling, my love?
Give me another persuasion roll.
Wow, I want to make that 13 out of 11.
Yeah,
these
unfortunately,
dice are saying y'all.
His attention's kind of gone away from this conversation. And as he was talking, you could tell he was trying very hard to focus in on what he was saying. From what you can gather at this point, it's gone.
Very well. Is she still with us?
Oh yeah, she's still standing in there.
So I don't know if this is the best time to bring this up, but somebody is impersonating Balmello, who is probably a changeling. It might be the same one.
Somebody is impersonating Balmello.
Yes. That's why we
Absolutely.
thought we knew Balmello. And you said perhaps changeling. Do the Black Cloaks know that Balmello died? Did anybody inform them?
The entire city is still acting completely normal. He's walking around with free reign and is under the purview of Mayor Nightpitch.
It's possible that a group of more extreme heretics could have acquired Black Cloak clothing. Perhaps whoever took on Balmello's identity was able to secure more than one Black Cloak uniform. There is, I've heard, an extremist group called the Eternal Night, a group of more extreme heretics that Father Elfino would see killed. I would rather see guided back. It's possible that
I think it's of the utmost importance that you let the entire city know that Balmello died long ago. I think that this is the kind of announcement that's immediately relevant.
I will inform the church of what's happening, the Templars, and Mayor Nightpitch himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I will let the mayor make the final decision, for I do not run this entire hold.
I'm gonna lean down to where Aggie is and whisper to her. It kind of makes more sense why he was so intrigued by our artifact we found. And I'm referring to that, wasn't it a skull or something?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it makes total sense. He
Is there... I'm sorry, did I interrupt you, Aggie, by accident?
No, I was just going. He's not who he says he is.
Is there any way that we could request being in audience with you and you tell Mayor Nightpitch? I have reason to believe that Mayor Nightpitch is a little bit reliant in some way on the aid of the false Balmello, and perhaps further voices of mediation would be appropriate.
I'm sure I can arrange something like that. Return here tomorrow. I'll have a meeting set up by midday.
Wonderful.
Now, if there's no other business here, I should return to my work and begin making arrangements.
Of course. Thank you so much for your guidance and time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see me again, you may be being called on by a sick Ambrian man.
She kind of smirks in your direction and nods her head. All right. She exits, heading back up the stairs. All of you still down in this hallway. Anything from the four of you?
Can I tell in this? We're still in the area with all the afflicted. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can I specifically tell if anybody in here is dark blood?
Give me a vigilance check. I'll give you a +3 to this since it's something that you're more familiar with, so you know which type of signs to look for.
Oh, sweet. That is you said a +2 or +3?
+3.
Okay, that's 2 out of 13.
2 out of 13. Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, as you're kind of walking through, looking through these various cages, as you're making your way back towards the staircase, on the left-hand side, you do see an individual who's kind of just currently laying down on kind of this bedroll. You see them coughing up quite a bit. You see their shirt is stained with some darker fluids. You'd imagine that this is probably the one.
And do they have any sort of, can I see any sort of like qualities of what they're afflicted with? Like if it's wolf blood or a reptile, what kind of dark blood they have in their system?
Ooh, from this area, go ahead and give me a cunning check if you would.
3 out of 5. That was lucky.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, as you kind of get up close to the cage, trying to peer in there and see, kind of analyze the stains on the shirt and the liquid as they're kind of coughing it up. You can't quite make out the exact specifics, but you can tell it appears to have like a reptilian consistency.
Okay, and they look like they're asleep, right?
Yeah, they're kind of their eyes shut and they kind of like cough up every now and then. That's when you kind of see the ichor come out and you can see the consistency as it kind of drips out of their mouth.
Okay, well I'll wait until the rest of my party ascends the stairs, and then Laerke will reach into her mantle and pull out a feather and lay it on the ground by the door of the cage.
Okay.
And then follow up.
All right. You all make your way up the stairs. Any other business within the Sun Temple that any of you would like to do?
Actually, yes. I would love to maybe see a library and find an account of any members of the church who have died within like the past 10 years. If there's any information on that, I would just like to have a list on hand, actually.
Just a list of recently deceased members?
Just from the last 10 years, if I could find like anything and just keep a little list around in case we run into any, members.
Records.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Yeah, so there's definitely kind of an archive area over in the first building. You ask a couple priests and they point you in that direction. And they do hand you a tome of the deceased. As you're kind of flipping through it, you see various priests, Templars, Twilight Friars, some of the more higher up clergy. As you're flipping through, give me a vigilance check if you would.
Okay. Oh, Lord. Where's my vigilant? There it is. 13 out of 7.
13 out of 7. Okay. You're seeing a lot of various names, none of them jumping out at you specifically.
Nice.
But I will send you a list of names on like the specific priests and Black Cloaks and Templars.
Kovaan, do you mind just checking my notes?
And I nod and I look over.
Go ahead and give me a vigilance check if you would, Kovaan.
Do better for us.
All right, let's get the metal dice out. There we go. 7 out of 9.
7 out of 9. Excellent. So yeah, flipping through this book, you do see the name Balmello underneath the Twilight Friars, and you do see Anadia underneath the priests. Aside from that, nobody specifically jumping out, but you do find those two names specifically.
So
What was
I'm scanning through the book. Our friend is here,
what friend?
Balmello. And then I scan more, and I tilt my head, and so is Nadia. And I look up at everybody.
And
At what point was Anadia declared deceased?
She is after Balmello.
But was it recent or was it?
Are there time thingies on there or anything?
there are dates, and you can tell Anadia's is dated for today. And looking at the ink, it's very
Oh,
fresh.
okay.
It looks like
Okay,
she was
okay.
just added in there.
Got it. Balmello's date of death was
Roughly 3 years ago.
okay. So I pass that on to everyone.
Lovely.
Did it say what he died of? Would it have anything like that?
For Balmello, cause of death, it just says natural causes.
Well. I can't wait to eventually rejoin our good friend, Balmello.
I'm sure.
Preferably.
I'm sure in
I'm sorry,
particular,
Laerke?
he's not super happy about the way he's been acting.
Indeed. Well, we do know the Order Magica was on our list of places to go. Would we rather take care of this, making contact with Sarvola?
Sarvola.
Sarvola.
Mm-hmm. I will send the name in the chat here so you all have the.
Seems to be the logical next step.
So Sarvola. Where did they say that they were keeping Sarvola again?
You were told that he operates out of the mission house, so he is operating freely.
Very well.
Did we get directions? Do we know where we're going?
Is this the plot of The Hobbit?
I imagine it's probably pretty close to the temple, right? We should. Yeah, I imagine it would be a really fancy-looking building.
Maybe.
Oh
It
my
might
God.
be.
Somebody go ask that mean priest for directions. Is there a temple?
Okay.
I don't think we want him to know we're going to the place of Sarvola. Maybe the Templars?
Or maybe just
Aggie?
someone outside.
Or someone outside, that's true. And I need a place to change. Not in here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were asking whether or not we should, you're talking about the Templar brothers.
Mm-hmm. For directions.
For directions, yes, I believe that they would be amenable to some assistance. However, I would not suggest changing form or character because we have an entire temple to walk through.
Oh no, not here. But I mean, I need somewhere to change before Sarvola.
Of course, yes, we will make sure to get that. But yes, no, if you want to stop by the brothers and ask them for directions, and I believe that sounds like a wonderful plan.
Stop. Templars.
Off to the Templars. All right.
These
Easy
three
enough.
brothers are our new besties.
Yeah.
You make your way back over, and easy enough, you find their room. Door's currently shut.
Knock, knock. Hello again.
Ugh. Door opens up and you're greeted by the eldest.
Yeah, hello. So, we just wanted to let you know that we have a lot more new information. And we were wondering if you could give us some information of your own. Where's your brother? The young one. He seems to be so sweet.
He stepped out.
Oh. Whereabouts? Maybe we can go find him.
Out into the hold to get supplies.
Wonderful. I'm just going to look at Kin and Kovaan and Laerke with a look of like, I really just don't want to deal with this motherfucker right now. And
Let's just go.
yeah, well, maybe we'll run into it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good chat. And he shuts the door.
It's okay. Let's go out in the street.
Damn.
So many people out in the street who know things like getting to places.
That dude. I can't with that dude.
Laerke is super chill, but in her head she's like,
Yeah.
All right. So exiting out of the Sun Temple, heading out into town, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as you all exit, making your way back outside, you see a couple priests standing there, and they're kind of like waving their arms a little bit. Their backs turned towards you, and you see them like kind of crouching and like waving a little bit. And you all see the little goblin form of Cranko just like jumping up and down. He's got like a piece of parchment in his hand, like, the boss is in there. Boss is in. I need to see boss. I need to.
Oh my God.
And he kind of sees you, and you see Cranko just jumping up and down, waving his arms frantically.
Excuse us. Thank you. Come with us, Cranko.
Finally someone with manners, thank you. He kind of flips off the priest as he begins to walk away.
Aggie will won't reprimand, but will upon seeing this instinctually just kind of like try and put her body in between the middle finger and the rest of and the people that he's flipping off, and she'll just give him a nice little pat on the shoulder and be like, I understand. I'm sorry.
All right. Urgent message from boss. And he hands Nrobso this piece of parchment.
Ooh.
Words are hard, guys.
Pizza would be so nice right now.
Right? And Nrobso kind of unfurls this parchment. Nrobso's needed back home.
Nrobso? Well, I hope everything is okay.
It should be good. Big payday opportunity.
Oh!
Us, coin wise.
And now is the appropriate time.
Look, Nrobso's not good with understanding magic. You guys got this.
Yeah. We all understand where Nrobso's priorities lie.
And you will wash your hands frequently.
Nrobso will
see
be
them.
back.
Well, you know where to find us. We won't leave the hold. And if we do, I'll leave a message with Marvella where we're headed.
Sounds good, Laerke. Nrobso just heading home momentarily. Back to Krabadox. And you all know that it's just a short journey to the west of this hold where he's heading.
Well, be safe. Stab anyone who shows threatening motions to you that you don't know and run. Wear gloves if you see anything tainted that you're touching.
Yep. And he just takes off running. Cranko's just kind of standing there like, follow or stay.
He'll return. You should stay.
What should
It's like
Cranko?
a franchise.
I don't think he really needs to stay, Keen.
Do you have work for Cranko?
Oh, I thought you meant stay in town, or should he follow Nrobso back home?
Cranko's got his own stuff he's got to take care of. Cranko's a very busy guy.
Yeah, Cranko's running a
Fair enough.
business here.
I'll pay Cranko for the message. I'll give him a septum is not the right word.
Shilling?
A shilling.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
Septum Laerke.
Cranko like, grabs it, his eyes light up. Oh, Cranko's gonna have a good night. And Cranko just takes off running through Thistlehold.
So directions.
Some priests right here. Just ask them.
I don't think the priests need to know we want to go there. Can I look around just like I would like to keep walking for a while and maybe find an Ambrian to talk to.
Okay, for sure, yeah. So right now you are all kind of in the eastern part of town. Which way do you want to head? North, west, or south?
Away is the right answer.
Away. All right, if you want to start heading away, I'll say you guys begin making your way west. That's just kind of the straight pathway out from where you're currently at. Walking through, yeah, there's plenty of Ambrians passing through. A couple of them out shopping. A couple of them look like they're heading home. What would you like to do?
So should I transform now or later?
Maybe if we can find like an alley or something. Unless you guys want to go all the way back to the cart and have you do that in the cart. But I think
Where's the inn that we stay at?
The inn is on the western part of town.
so we're headed that way
Mhm.
already.
Maybe we could just ask for a map at the end and I could just change. We wouldn't even have to tell anybody our specific location we're traveling to.
That's true.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go back to the inn for now.
Okay. Making your way back over towards the Rose. Easy enough. Takes you about 15 minutes to walk all the way across town and get over there. Walking in, you see the familiar reception area with the staircase in up to your rooms. I will say at this point, it's probably pretty late afternoon. You're probably looking at anywhere between 5 and 6 or so.
Okay. So, Keen, go change.
Mm.
Aggie, let's go see if we can get some information. And Kovaan, I assume you'd like to go with Keen?
I will escort her.
Right, you back down here, and I don't know how long it takes you to do your thing. 15 minutes?
Sounds fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Blair's gonna head to the bar, or to the front desk.
Yeah, the front desk area. Okay. And behind the counter, you see a young Ambrian man standing there. Oh, good evening.
Good evening. I was wondering if you, we're new in town, can't seem to find my way from left to right here. Do you happen to have a map or anything that I can maybe use to get around?
Oh, I mean, a map wouldn't do you much good to get around. It could give you directions. To get around, I would suggest a cart.
Bringing it back down on the temper level.
Sorry, map. Yes, no. I get bored here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Kind of reach down behind the desk and hear just a bunch of parchment shuffling about.
I would like, if you could give me directions, I would love to find out where the The Temple of the Sun is.
Temple of the Sun. Yeah. It's that's going to be back. If you go out that way and head east and just keep walking, you can't miss it. I know I had a spare map here somewhere. So what brings you into town?
Just passing through.
Just-
Pit stop on the way out to Davokar.
A pit stop. I see. And are you staying here with us?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. A little luxury on your one night stay through town. I like the way you operate.
Yeah, just trying to. Since we're heading into Davokar, it's a little bit wild out there. Trying to live it up a little bit before we head out.
And as you say that, as he's coming up, you hear him hit his head on the bottom of the desk. Oh, I'm sorry, Davokar.
Yes, just general looking, not touching expedition type work.
Oh.
You
You understand, many people die going in there.
Well, it's a good time to live in the lap of luxury for a couple of days then.
You are braver than I. And here, he hands you this large rolled up piece of parchment, and you can kind of unroll it on the desk, and it is a map of Thistlehold.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, that's my only copy I've got here.
That's okay. Give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna look for so I know where the temple is. I know where Marvello's tent is.
Mhm.
I'm looking for the Ordo, and I'd like to see if there are any sort of great cemeteries, and if the prison is separate as well.
Okay, for sure. So looking for the Ordo Magica, the Academy. You can see that the Academy itself is kind of to the northeast part of town. The mission house is to the south, where you'll find Servala operating out of. Looking for like any particular like large burial type areas, you do notice one that there's kind of just on the outskirts of the main type of garrison where the town watch stays.
What direction, cardinal direction is that?
Oh, that is also to the south.
Okay, so pretty much most of those places we want to stop by are in the south, except for
the Academy.
The
Mhm.
Academy is up. Okay. Cool. Thank you. This is very helpful.
Of course, anytime.
Is there like a piece of paper or anything that she can use to just take a note?
Oh, yeah, I can. He kind of hands just a blank piece of parchment and a quill.
Okay, perfect. Write it down so I don't forget. Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And then I'll head back over to Aggie and hand her the parchment with the notes on it, because she'll take better care of it than I will.
Sure. Excellent. So, upstairs, Keen and Kovaan entering into your room. Keen, you begin to make your transformation. What does that look like as you're doing this?
So like my aura is like the white with the black swirls. So that just starts sort of circling over me, and like right before that's happening, I'm doing like this. And then the swirls are just like coming off of this and just like wrapping all around me everywhere. And then when it frays away, I look very different.
All right. Now taking on the form of an Ambrian.
A sickly looking Ambrian man. And like I take the cloak and I like pull it. I really hood my face.
Okay.
So for now, no one really, I'm going to keep my head down too the whole way until we're at a safe distance from the inn.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm gonna look over at Keen. I'm like, that's a really good one. You look almost as bad as me. And I go for and open the door for her.
Yes, very well, very well. Thank you.
And I make sure that her hood does cover her face and any other features that would be distinguishing.
Okay, perfect. Easy enough. Keen now disguised. You make your way back downstairs. Or was there anything else the two of you would like to do in your room? Okay. Back down the stairs. You see Laerke over at the counter taking notes. And kind of passing a piece of parchment over to Aggie. The four of you now kind of regroup down in this main lobby area. What would you like to do?
So it's getting rather dark outside. Do we want to try what's his name? Sarvola first? And depending on how long that takes, maybe save our trip to the Orda until tomorrow.
And I apologize, the Ordo Magic is actually to the southwest. I was looking at the totally wrong map. It is to the southwest, so it's kind of also on the way.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Aggie's gonna be like, oh, yes. However, also one of my priorities at this moment is examining that artifact that we found, which I do believe we must take to the Ordo Magica, correct?
Is there any way we can do that after we've seen Sarvola?
Absolutely. I just request that, as I said, we don't need to do it immediately, but I do wish for it to be near the top of our priorities list. I would like to. She takes a deep breath and kind of like puts her hand on her chest, and she just says, I've been feeling a little different since that moment in the pit, and I would like to know if there's anything we can do about it.
Of course. Maybe Sarvola may even have some information on it as well.
Yes. Of course, it slipped my mind when we were talking to the head priestess. I was a little distracted by everything going on.
Of course. Let's move out quickly then. See if we can't hit both locations in one night if possible.
I would
Sarvola
appreciate it.
first.
Yeah.
Making your way to the mission house first. Okay. So exiting the inn, begin to make your way down south. At this point, the streets are kind of starting to clear out a little bit as individuals are closing shops, beginning to head home. So it's pretty easy traveling through the city itself. You go on for solid 10 minutes or so before you see this large old wooden house sitting there, a couple stories high, and you see that the front door of it is currently open, and you just see a line of individuals serpentining out of this house through the streets. I mean, it's probably a line of probably anywhere from 30 to 50 people at what you can see as you approach.
I suppose I must queue up. How big is the line? Like, how immense?
As you approach, you're looking at probably about 40 people ahead of you.
Oh.
Definitely not going to be hitting both places in one night.
Well,
Perhaps we redirect. Are there more people joining the line, like consistently?
Sorry, what was that?
Are there more people joining the line as we're standing there?
Yeah, you see a couple more individuals kind of come up behind you, and they get behind Keen.
And how fast is this line moving? Like, is it?
I mean,
like an in and out drive-through fast?
No, I mean since Keen got in line, she's still standing there, hasn't moved.
Very well. Tell me what the people. Does anybody look injured in that line?
Give me a vigilance check if you would.
Okay. That is a 16 out of 7.
Nice. Looking through this line, you see a variety of individuals. Most of them look fairly poverty-stricken. You can't quite make out if anybody's specifically injured. Looking through, you see people kind of holding, some holding empty baskets. Looking up towards the doors, you see individuals coming out with similar-looking baskets that have like various vegetables in them. Some come out with like some kind of like soup containers, and they just kind of pass by the line and continue making their way to wherever they're heading off to for the night.
Have we considered potentially, you are the heroes of some of the occurrences in town. Have you considered maybe 2 of you taking me by each arm, crying out that I'm very sick and need to be treated immediately for my wounds and dragging me into the building? Kovaan, you're slow. I care for you deeply, but perhaps you should not be the one.
Are we?
What do you mean by that? And I just kind of snicker.
No, of course, slow and steady wins the race, Kovaan. You know this, but we don't want to get me in there in a time frame to let people question.
Maggie's just gonna look at all 3 of us and be like, I mean, goodness, all 3 of us could pass as one of these people. All 3 of us could do it.
I think Laerke is like looking around and realizing, like with Keen transformed as she is, I'm like, oh, I am the only. All right.
Yep.
Well, I'm not a very good performer, as you all know, but I can carry someone in.
Carry someone who's performing.
Yeah.
Hey, Laird,
Happy to
Laird,
be carried.
you're carrying the performance.
Ah.
It's me. I'm the performance.
Okay. She's gonna like lean down. She's like, okay, start acting like you're dying.
Oh no.
Sick.
And like I'm like coughing like so much. I'm coughing like phlegm, just like monstrosity coughing.
Give me a persuasion for all of you.
I'm gonna, as she's doing this, I'm gonna like scoop her up Princess Carrie style.
Okay. That was a nat 1, and my persuasion is an 11.
Oh yeah, you are selling the shit out of this fake illness that you have. Laerke, you scoop her up. What are you doing?
Running in.
Okay. So you're taking Keen out of line and begin charging forward. As you're running up towards the doors, you hear just people shouting, no, back the line. We've been waiting all day. Get out of here. Go. And they kind of begin to try to block the doorway. As you get up towards the doorway, you see an individual sitting in a chair inside there, and he kind of stands up, looking towards you. Hey, what's the problem?
Can you throw up on cue? Throw up.
May I attempt to throw up on cue?
That's a lot.
No matter what, I've already like cut myself a little bit, so I am physically bleeding at this time.
I mean, no. So you see this Ambria man standing up, just
Up on
Sir, sir, I'm sorry. It's an emergency, sir. I need to see Sarvolo.
That's me, but I'm sorry. I've got many others to help. You'll have to wait your turn. Please return to the back of the line.
Please, please, sir, you don't understand.
I
Sir.
do understand, and he kind of points over to the right side. And on the right side of this house, you see beds that just have various individuals who are kind of like holding their sides, who are also getting sick, throwing up to the sides of the bed. I understand. I'm sorry. I'm working as fast as I can, but you must wait your turn, please.
I'll be dead by the time we get over here.
Cutting in line never works.
All right.
Unless it's on the 405.
I'll carry her back to the back, but at this point, I apologize, Keen. You are gonna have to continue to act like this for the remainder of this week.
I will.
You go back to the back of the line, and as you approach, about
We please say that Aggie was saving our spot in line.
Yeah, they didn't come up with us.
We did not. Aggie's just kind of there in line, standing there, just like, oh my God.
I was
Okay.
gonna say about 5 people have piled in behind you, Aggie.
Yeah.
And, Laerke,
I didn't move either. I would have stayed with Aggie.
You carry Keen back to your companions, and these individuals are just glaring at you, saying,
Hey,
point
fuck
towards the
off.
night.
No, Lark will get mad. We needed to get to the front, and since we're not, our friends are here holding our line. So you guys fuck off.
We all need to get to the front, and the Ambria man holds up his hand, and he is missing 2 fingers and is just like soaking blood through some rags that he's just holding on. We all need help. Back of the line.
Is he trying to square up right now?
No,
He's
I
not
don't-
backing down.
I don't think this dude is in a position to square up, but it will make us look like big ol' assholes.
If you guys want to go back to the back of the line, I don't care either way.
Aggie and Kovaan are not at the back of the line. We will stay in our spot.
I guess at the end of the day, Keen doesn't have to be the one to get in there. So we don't even have to wait in the line. Right?
So we're gonna just so I'm clear, we're gonna drop trying to keep a defensible line between us and
I mean, we can
consorting with this guy.
We can go to the back of the line. I'm just saying if it'll be easier for Aggie and Kovaan to stay in the line, and maybe you and I go to the Order.
Only 5
Okay.
people behind.
Yeah.
And it's not like they've got COVID, so it's like 30 feet between us. It's just a normal line. So you're only like 10 feet away.
Has the line moved at all in this time?
A couple people have moved up, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
but it's pretty slow moving.
Well, I'm gonna keep carrying her because I can't. At this point, I can't put her down.
There's no triage at this urgent care.
Yeah, for real. Maybe we would have better luck going back to the pit, getting help by one of the fucking people over there.
Oh my God.
This is it.
Actually, you know what, Aggie? If there's people out here who are injured and like this dude is like showing off like 2 missing fingers with like blood soaking through a rag, Aggie's gonna be like, oh,
I can take care of that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's gonna be like, oh, darling, one moment. And she just, she pops into her little satchel and starts getting her shit out because this is what she does.
Give me a medicus check.
Yeah, I'll absolutely. That is a 2 out of 15 on my cunning roll.
All right, yeah, easy enough. You are able to help this individual kind of stitch close his finger wounds, and he just kind of looks at his hand and looks towards you with a big grin on his face and just, oh, you're a saint. Thank you so much. And
Of course. And I just saved you a ton of time, too.
no, indeed you did. I might have bled out before I made it in.
Yes, well, thankfully you won't. But be sure to keep it very clean. And, she does the whole nurse script.
The nurse spiel. All right.
Yeah.
He's
Fresh
gonna-
bandages. I don't care how many shirts you have to destroy. Make sure it stays clean.
And he just bows his head and he gets out of line.
And I guess Aggie's just gonna start going through and treating who she can to start clearing up this line.
Clear the queue.
Yeah, exactly. Aggie's all like, why is there no triage at this urgent care? Oh, I can do that.
All right, go ahead and roll me a d6 if you would.
The GM is all like, all right, how are we not going to do this with having my player roll 500
Every fucking time.
yeah, d20s. All right. It's a 2.
Okay, so unfortunately your supplies are a little bit light, so you're able to get 2 more individuals out of the line, healed up, patched up in a way.
As far as the triage bit goes, so now that I've been standing here helping all of these people, now do the people around me have a bit of a different opinion of me? Like the people in line?
Give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. That's a big pile of nope.
Yep, they don't care what you've been doing. They're waiting in line. They're just trying to get in and out like everybody else.
Are these mostly people that were attacked at the pit? Is that what this line is?
Some of them are. Others just like look like they're poverty stricken, maybe homeless. From what you can tell, there's some injured, but a majority of them aren't injured.
It's mostly people being sick or who are sick, not.
There's a few sick, a few injured, and people who just like they're in need of some kind of help.
Okay.
It's a soup. It's like a soup kitchen type.
Essentially,
deal, too. Yeah.
Okay.
So waiting in line, you still have about 28 people ahead of you.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to stand with your sick old man you saved?
They're like 2 or 3 people ahead of this. It's fine.
I'm gonna make my way back to King.
Yeah. Kinlegelana is a little concerned because Aggie, it's fine, but what are you even planning to say to him? Because our whole thing was we were going to pretend like you guys found a sick man.
T. Yeah, no. At this point, Aggie was gonna go and volunteer to be his assistant because, god damn, it's obvious he needs one. Yeah, no. Aggie will just go ahead and hobble back.
All right, regrouping. Those 4 other individuals move up in line, so you are now 32 people behind. And as you're out here waiting, go ahead and give me a vigilance check, everybody, if you would.
Oh, see, I thought that was going to be the moment where you're all like, and if with that very exciting end, this is where the session.
6 out of 7.
6 out of 7.
Waiting
Okay.
in line.
2 out of 9.
2 out of 9. Okay.
7 out of 11.
7 out of 11. Okay. So Kovaan, Aggie, and Keen, as you're all kind of standing here, Laerke, you're kind of just having Keen cough right in your face and right in your ear, so you can't quite pay too much attention to what's going on. Looking around, you do see about 4 individuals who are kind of standing off to the side. These individuals dressed a little bit nicer, each of them wearing large cloaks, not black cloaks. And you see them all kind of whispering amongst one another. With your vigilance checks, you kind of overhear one of them say, "Yeah, it's time to burn this heretic house down." And you see each of them begin to reach onto their sides and into their cloaks, and they begin to pull out what look like swords and daggers. And as you've seen this unfold, that is where we're going to go ahead and end today's game. So thank you all so much for joining us for today's adventure. Greatly appreciate all of you coming by and hanging out today. So yeah, quick few announcements. this upcoming weekend, starting Friday and going through Saturday, Sunday, we are doing a St. Jude's charity weekend. So starting off Friday, we will have a Fallout one-shot being run by April Hill, our wonderful overseer. Saturday at 3 p.m. PST, I will be running a special one-shot of Symbaroum. So for those interested in what Nrobso is up to in his time away, check that out, as you'll be able to find out there. And Saturday evening, 6 p.m., we've got a Vaesen being run by my wonderful partner, Brianna Flame. And Sunday, we'll be ending it all off at 6 p.m. with a one-shot of Morkborg, run by the incredible With a Brick. So check all that out. If you're able to donate, please do. It's all going towards a wonderful cause, or at least help us spread the word. Once we have the promos and everything up, you should see those hitting our socials this week. Aside from that, thank you to our wonderful sponsors. Thank you to my fellow channel organizers for helping make this show come together. And with that, let's throw it back around the table. Let's start off with Kelsey.
Hi guys, I'm Kelsey. I'm Tombs and Tomes on social media, and I was Kinlegelana today. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was great to be with you.
Perfect. Let's go over to Christine, please.
Hi everybody, I'm Christine. You can catch me here on Twitch or on Instagram at Slumberjane. You'll catch me next weekend playing in the Vaesen game for St. Jude's. And thanks for stopping by and keeping us company on our wild and wacky adventures.
Awesome. Let's go over to Coral, please.
Hi, friends. My name is Coral Reefer, and I'm very shocked that Balmello was actually dead. What? But you can find me on the Twitches at twitch.tv/queerventuretime and on the Twitters at QVentureTime, because Queer Venture Time is what? Too many characters. And yeah, we're just being queer during the holidays and giving you a lovely queer space to be in. Oh, also, we've got Queer Venture Time, the Queer Venture, our D&D game, coming back tonight. So that's fun. You can also see me in some of the pre-recorded stuff for Blackwater's big old subathon that's going on right now.
Awesome. And last but not least, Keith, please.
How's it, everybody? Keith. You can find me on IG at I'm Not Kevin Bacon, Twitter, all that D&D, and here, LOI808. You can catch me Friday in that Fallout game that Nate mentioned. Excited about it. Excited for the whole weekend. Hopefully you folks can come by, and if you're able, donate a little.
Perfect. And I'm Nate. You can find me on Instagram at DungeonMaster_discussions. Mainly streaming here with these lovely folks every other Sunday, running Symbaroum here. You can also catch me, however, we started last week, but tomorrow, Monday nights, I am over on the Rizzo GP's Twitch channel, where we are jamming through some Fallout 76 in search of Mothman. So if you want to watch me suck at Fallout 76, go check it out. Say hi if you can. It's a lot of fun. Aside from that, I don't think I have anything else. So with that, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you all in the next adventure.